much time do we have? You got like 90 minutes?
Got 84 minutes.
You have some of the most precious time in this company. I feel like I'm talking to Matej again. I couldn't find gaps in his schedule anywhere whenever we had to do this.
It's we have meetings with each other, so everybody thinks we're busy, but secretly.
It's just the two of you the whole time? That's all that's happening? Well, I'm glad you were able to take the time out to be here. You're not normally here, which I think people don't know.
Yeah.
You're typically far, far away.
Very remote.
It's not too far, but you are Dutch.
I am
right?
originally Dutch.
That's what you say. You don't say Netherlandish. That
Dutch.
would not be the word.
No, you wouldn't say that.
And you flew here.
I flew here. I just arrived.
So you could say you're like a flying Dutchman.
I am a flying Dutchman.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is
so corny.
This is Danny. Yeah. If anyone doesn't know, this is Danny. That's his only. You don't have a last name, right? It's just Danny.
No, last name.
No, it's actually, I think your name. So Danny's name is Danny Sanders.
It's very international.
I don't think I've never told
it's not
you.
Very Dutch. No.
Yeah, you.
That's why I can pause for. I'm just trying to work on the accent, and then nobody will. I'm truly anonymous person. Then
I've always thought like you sound like you should be a professional baseball player from like the 1960s. And Danny Sanders coming up to bat.
Yeah, the Dutch people have extremely horrible accents. But I lived 10 years abroad, so
I always thought it's really good English there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, as I worked 10 years abroad only in like English-speaking companies, and I kind of worked on getting it more smoothened out.
So So you're saying you don't represent the average Dutch person?
No.
Okay.
I can try the accent, but
yeah, I don't even know what to. I've worked with you for too long. I have no actual like point of reference for anything. Yeah. Maybe someday we'll go hang out in the Netherlands. I've never been there. Do you want to?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the other thing. I've never been somehow, except the airport. Whenever you're going through, it's like a popular hub for flying.
It's very popular. It's now quite overloaded. It's not as smooth as it was in the past, but Schiphol is one of the
I imagine that was the
main
case.
hubs in Europe.
If you're coming in through if we're flying to Europe from America, I've always gone London, Amsterdam.
I'm just waiting how you pronounce the airport.
It's not just Amsterdam Airport?
No.
Yes, it is. What is it? How's it written? I'm going to look it up right now.
It's called Schiphol.
It's called...
Yeah.
I would have said Schiphol.
Exactly.
That's what I would have said. Is that what you expected from me?
Yeah.
I never knew that was the name either.
American, yeah.
So the first time I was flying through, I was like... You're so overwhelmed by everything you're supposed to be doing. It's just like your first time coming to Europe, so... And
that airport is a bit overwhelming also.
Yeah, I was running through like I couldn't see, just like trying to look at everything.
Yeah, and they just built like new gates everywhere, and like you have to walk a lot. And
yeah. And then after you've done it, it becomes like an autopilot thing.
Yeah.
Like no pun intended, but yeah, I'm just like walking through without even thinking at this point.
Yeah, so Schiphol, try it once.
Schiphol?
Schiphol.
You have to use the back of your throat?
Schiphol, that's why Dutch accents are horrible.
They do that?
Yeah,
Schiphol?
Yeah, Schiphol.
I thought that was limited to German. I didn't know you guys did it too.
Yeah, we're quite good at it.
I thought Dutch was supposed to be one of the languages that's like easier for English speakers to learn because they're like supposed to be like closer together a little bit.
No, it's a Germanic language. No.
So it is same roots.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so people say that about Swedish too.
And like, why do you need to learn it? Because like, okay, there are like 18 million people who speak Dutch, but we all speak English. We're like the highest % of English proficiency in the world.
Is it?
Yeah.
Man, you know a lot
about
your
Because we're small,
country.
we're like trading all around, VOC, kind of, golden era of Dutch boats.
And you were like a world power for a bit.
We were, yes.
Well. So
we were the dominant world power.
So you've got some
of
the,
you guys. So
some of the aftershock of
we have a bit of pain. We're like, like we still feel now and then.
What were you guys famous for? Was it ships?
Yeah, ships. We built, I think, best technology, which at the times was the best fleet of ships and merchants trading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was like ships and like crimes.
I think at the time you're like a world power if you have the best ships.
Yeah.
That was it.
Who has the best ships now?
The Navy, the U.S. Navy is
it
probably,
us?
Yeah.
How good are our ships? I always think
carrier fighters are quite serious.
I think guns and planes. I don't usually think ships.
Well, now it's planes more and like other tech stuff. Like this was the past. It's not now, but you still probably have the best ships to use.
So basically, you just know more about both of our countries than I do.
It's quite standard for Americans.
I don't feel like the stereotypical like uneducated American, but this is not
trying
helping.
to make you feel like that.
This is not a very good case for that, I guess.
Get back on topic then.
Yeah, so so I introduced Anusha, I guess, actually at this point, I don't think that episode's not even released yet, so it's a company secret.
Nah.
But by the time you're in front of public eyes, she will be too. And I called her, so you haven't seen it, but I do this in real life as well, but I call her my boss's boss. So you're like my boss's boss's boss.
You do that a lot, though.
I love doing it. I just think it's so funny. I love ranking people that way.
It's very American.
It gives people context. They're like, oh man, look at what kind of power Sean is in the presence of.
Yeah,
that's how it feels.
So actually, again, let's go back to cultural. Like Dutch people, they don't really care about hierarchy.
You don't?
No,
that's an ingrained part of my brain.
If you have a CEO in front of you, they'll say like, well, you have to listen to my opinion because it's equally valuable as your opinion.
You're like intimidated.
And I will tell you what I think and this kind of stuff. Yeah.
But that's not. Wait.
So I don't have this like hierarchical like sense that you have. So the CEO is
just like your buddy.
Well, no, they're just everybody's equal basically. We feel everybody's kind of equal.
Man, that is different. It's kind of like the focus in America on like money. Like you come over here and like money doesn't carry nearly as much weight. Is it that people are more concerned with like life balance rather than just pursuing money at any cost? Yeah. Like that is how like the American mentality is for a lot, not literally everybody, but like a lot of people. Like that's like the main goal in life for things.
There you go.
So I believe you. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
about the cultural differences. What is it that you would say you do here? I would call you head businessman, but that's a really broad and really vague term. How would you describe yourself and your role in this company?
Yeah, like so the role is like all commercial stuff indeed. So like officially it's called
a lot of things.
Chief Commercial Officer, but basically it is very much like sales and marketing, these kind of things, right? And then there's some other stuff. But indeed, like you have, in a company you have like, financial department, you have product department, you have engineering, and then you have sales and marketing, and I take care of sales and marketing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like so much of the logistics of everything. And I mean that in the broad sense, not our department, the logistics department. Yeah. But just like broadly speaking, there's so much going on. And I didn't realize like how much there is to take care of.
Yeah.
Like until we have like our org chart that shows like the trees of everything. And I was like, that's so many people to keep track of. My boss is a head of like 5 people. And I was like, I don't know how he would even manage all of that.
Yeah, you have to change a lot. I think it's getting bigger and bigger. I think when I started, it was like maybe 18 people. Now I think we're over 40, at least in my team.
Like all of marketing?
No, all of business.
Business, right. I always say marketing.
So we have like marketing, then you have sales, then you have logistics, then you have like e-commerce, you have, biz dev, all these kind of things.
So it's doubled since you got here.
Yeah.
And when did you get here? What year was it?
So that was 2.5 years ago. It was quite interesting time. I kind of really found it fantastic to join Trezor in the depths of a bear market. So 2.5 years ago, we were in 2023. It was like probably, sales are lowest, everybody's depressed, the usual bear market time. And that's a fantastic time to join a company.
Yeah.
And I've been in the space for some cycles already. And then you have to have this conviction, right, to change your career path. I come from like big corporates, this kind of stuff, which I was kind of happy to get out of. And they have to like, you go into a smaller company. For me, this is quite small, this company.
Yeah.
And then in the depths of bear market, you really have to believe also. And the good thing, the fantastic thing is joining Trezor was really kind of really anti-cyclical at the time, because we were a company that was investing in the bear market, and you don't see that a lot in this space. Yeah, everybody's trying to lay off people. Unfortunately, in the cycle where people are like overhiring, probably in the peak of bull markets, kind of very
there's a lot of that
retail kind of mindset. You're hiring a lot of people because there's a lot of stuff to do, and then you're basically
just that excitement and that hype.
Exactly. So I came in 2.5 years ago. That's the bear market, but actually we were starting to hire. So like those 40 people. Now they were built, mostly the fundamentals were built in the bear market. Yeah.
That's something that I've really liked seeing with Trezor, because it's come up more than once. Yeah. Where even in like full company, like all hands meetings, which I guess we have those like every month and a half roughly. People have said more than once, like, we want to be careful about the way that we operate. Yeah. Because we don't want to have to lay people off.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to operate anti-cyclical, and that's very hard to do for a company.
Yeah.
In normally when you have venture capital, you have to go raise money on the peak, because your valuation is the highest, right? So then everybody is trying to do as much as they can, increase the value. We're not a venture capital backed company, which is fantastic. But it also means you have to spend from the money you earn, right? We sell devices, we earn money, and that money we reinvest in the next couple of years. So in 2021, there was great treasury management in the company, where those profits from the previous bull market were kind of stored and invested in the years after, where everybody had a tough situation. We were able to hire and build to the next bull run, and that balance is very anti-cyclical. And when you have a bull market year now, you have to do the other way. You kind of have to think, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure we do really well this year, and we use that money to invest in the future.
Yeah. And it's not just for a lot of, I guess, companies that I've seen, it's not just the awareness, but also making that choice. Like both of those things have to happen. People could know full well that they're going to have to lay people off and just do it anyway. And a lot of companies do.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're not just aware of that, or I wouldn't even say me, it's like the fact that there are people in this company who are responsible for that.
Yeah.
They're not only aware of it, they are making that conscious choice.
Yeah, and it takes time to be aware, because I think we had the same challenges like before that. Like a lot of companies who are new to this space, they don't understand maybe the cycles, how crazy it gets. So it's very easy to make that mistake.
Just like going crazy.
Yeah, and I think we had challenges in the past as well, but we learn from it and we get better, and then we're now at a good spot basically.
So in 2.5 years, what would you say are like some of the big landmarks or some of the big milestones for you in the time that you've been here?
It was a very different company back then. So it goes very fast in this space, right? 1 year is like 7 years in dark years. But basically, so when I joined 2.5 years ago, we were a smaller company at the time. And I would say, like in my field, there was not so much stuff present maybe. So we are inherently like a tech product company. That was like, we're 10 years in this space. We've gone through a lot, but a lot of that is built on product and tech and engineering. Yeah. And that's kind of what you saw 2.5 years ago, first and foremost. So basically, when I came here, it was super nice to have this fantastic asset called brand. We have a fantastic brand. Like what's brands? Well, I'm gonna steal this from Steve Jobs, but basically, brand is like trust. That's the way I frame it, at least. So it's all about how much trust do your customers have in you, and are they then buying your product? And I think every good thing you do is adding to that trust. Every bad thing you ship or experience you deliver is reducing from the trust. So I felt like coming in here, this 10 years of innovation, of like creators of the hardware wallet industry, which is something we want to talk way more about, which we didn't also in the past. And we can be way more proud. And I think Czech people are generally very humble and very, they don't maybe like to talk about their successes so much. So I guess that's part of my job, to talk about how great we are sometimes.
We're the ones that
I have no problems.
I
have no problems to talk how amazing we are. That's part of marketing. But basically, when it came to very product tech oriented, you saw that also in the messaging and the communication. It was very techy, bit geeky, right? And that was like,
there's still remnants of that to some degree.
There's still remnants of that, and I think it is part of our industry, and it will stay. But at the time, we said, okay, we have this fantastic asset, our brand, the trust, being this secure, safe, trusted brand in the space where nobody trusts each other, right? Don't trust, verify. So in that sense, we had this fantastic asset to build on, and we said, okay, if we want to do sales and marketing better, we should also probably invest in some like key departments, key kind of fundamental sales and marketing principles that we didn't have. So we started out, when I started out, we had like mostly some content, social media, community management. That was kind of roughly it. And so we said, okay, we want to expand that. We want to get ready for the bull run, the bull market that's going to come in 2-3 years. So like, how do we really build a great, marketing and sales machine? That was kind of it. So I can go one by one, but basically, content was always is super important in our industry because it's complex, and we kind of shipped a new brand identity. Where we said, okay, who do we want to be? We want to be a brand that is very human, very approachable, very easy to engage with. We want to be more well known. We want to have more faces who we are. I think a lot of people thought Trezor some American company in the past, and maybe still do. Which is our main market. Yeah, it is our main market. We see some of these insights. Like people didn't really know we're in Czech or didn't know the history always. Of course, when you're in the space for a long time, But we have a lot of new people coming into the space, and they don't know our brand, and they're engaging with our brand, and we need to kind of tell them who we are. So we set out the brand identity that's very much like try to cut through the jargon and the complexity, and like have really try to make these complex topics as simple and easy as possible. And you're the end result of that process.
Yeah.
Here you
I just
are.
got to come in at the very end of all this building.
Like in this fantastic podcast. It's a great like.
Oh, this is a cool
cycle.
job. Yeah, I'll go do that.
That's why you're here, right? Because we want to do way better content, more rich content. We have fantastic videographers, copywriters, design, and all this stuff has been kind of built from the last 2 years to really deliver a fantastic content machine, because we want to preach the word of self-custody to the world and who we are as a brand. So that was one thing where we really expanded the content team. We added a PR team we didn't have when I started. The PR lead was Jurgen just joined, was fantastic, and that expanded into event management and influencer management. So these are kind of new principles that we didn't have at the time. And then basically we in most companies see like performance marketing or digital marketing. It is something that is the main thing of what you sometimes see in marketing. Many startups, many growing companies, it's all about performance marketing and less about brands. And we were mostly about brand, which I think we have to do in this space, because everything is very commoditized in general. So you have to have a brand that comes above that and that engages and excites people. But also there we realized, okay, we can do that better. Performance marketing really became its own team, and we put way more research about it. I think now we have one of the best performance marketing machinery in the industry. That got built out a lot. We added SEO, organic search, and all this kind of principles. We had a lot of this stuff outsourced. Also, PR was outsourced. A lot of parts of the performance marketing was outsourced. So we try to pull a lot of stuff in-house where we can, where it makes sense, because we do have a thriving business. We do have a solid business to build on. Other stuff that we added is, for example, when I joined, we saw that product and marketing were very much, I would say not always in sync.
Yeah,
which is typical for this product-led
engineering-led
company. And then how does marketing figure this out? And so we established product marketing team, which is a critical role to have in between those two departments, to make sure that whatever we build, we ship, we understand the messaging, the unique selling points, the key selling points, the positioning of the product. So that's also something we took into the team and expanded, and we have now there a fantastic way of how we communicate to the world in a much more clear, simpler way. Other stuff we did since those 2.5 years is, for example, business development. We set that part up. We didn't have so much people who are dedicated talking to all the partners in the space, which is quite critical in our space as well. Sales teams were kind of recalibrated, where we have a sales manager who was taking care of the B2B and the retail sales in Europe, in APAC, and in the US, and of course taking care of Amazon and all these channels. We basically just coming back, try to build out the team where when I came here, it was quite small. I would say single percent amount of the people in the company, which is, I would say, something we could improve a lot, and we have done so. Just coming back to the start of the discussion, it's we doubled the team, but we really added new functions, new capabilities, new people, and I'm really proud to say that I think that we're pushing out a lot of great stuff, and I think now we're kind of in a really good spot also for this year to capture the momentum and the bull markets and all this kind of exciting times, and that took probably 2.5 years to get there.
Yeah, that's quite a journey. I definitely noticed it because I don't know if I ever told you, I looked at positions for this company for years before I showed up here. Because I found, and you were talking about people not realizing that it's not a U.S. company. Yeah. I lived here for 2 years, I've said it on past episodes, but we're here in the Czech Republic. And then I moved back to the U.S., discovered, that's when I got into crypto, it was 2017. And then my Trezor shows up and it says Prague, Czech Republic on it. And I was like, what is that actually where it's from? I was like, was that a through point? It just went through Czech Republic at some point. And I was like, no, that's the actual headquarters. And I'd already lived here. So yeah, moving back, I was like looking at it for even before I moved, I would check maybe every 6 months for stuff. But like you said, it was always like tech related or product related. It was always like be an engineer, be like software developer or firmware or something like that. And I was like, I can't do any of this stuff. So yeah, it was.
Neither can I.
Yeah.
Neither can I. I had the same journey because like I said, I've been in this space for now, like for some time, and I really wanted to work, you know, in a company in this space. And I was like, as I said, I come from consumer electronics, so I worked at these like, you know, big companies, these big brands, but I didn't feel like, you know, you can contribute as much as you can, and it was not in this, you know, in the Bitcoin crypto space. So I really want to work here, and I was like, but I'm not a developer. Like I can't, I can't do like code. I'm like, I'm useless. So who wants me? So basically, that was like, okay, wait. I do know something about consumer electronics and hardware, so maybe hardware wallets, that's a good space. So that's also how I got here, specifically because, you know, the sales and marketing is not always been that big into this space. But now it's growing a lot more and more, of course, as the space grows and as kind of usage increases. And it is very simply some similar thing as selling, you know, headphones or cameras. In the end, it's like, you know, you're selling a box, and you need some machinery around that to do that well.
That is what you did before, right? It was like something with headphones.
Yeah, no, I worked at Sony most part of my life, and then at Jabra.
Sony. So
Sony before was TVs, cameras.
That's what you meant when you said corporate. Like
it's
it
big.
can be.
Japanese,
I would imagine that would
corporate.
be like a much more.
That's very big. And then after that was Jabra, which is Danish.
That's what it was. You told me about that one.
But that's still a big company.
Yes.
Yeah, like top 25.
I feel like there's a lot of people who come from some kind of corporate background.
More and more.
And then the shift into like Trezor's culture is it can be pretty dramatic.
Oh yeah,
if you've never experienced it before.
It's huge.
Yeah.
But like my experience, and I think I hear this from a lot of people who are coming from this corporate, like it's really revitalizing and empowering and engaging to be from this, like, you know, this is your responsibility. And if you want to go out of the box, then you have to make 10 PowerPoints and talk to 5 people. And that is not fun. Yeah. Like you have to have a job that you love and really makes you want to get up every day. And that's what you get here. And that's what smaller companies in generally also do. So I really enjoyed that more freedom.
Yes.
I've never had more freedom than I have here.
There's way more autonomy.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like this like management theory that I love to at least kind of exert into my teams is like this organized chaos concept, which is like basically, you know, everybody is very empowered, has a lot of space, a lot of room to move and to kind of get stuff done themselves the way they want to do it, which also gives a lot of responsibility. And it's kind of scary sometimes because what if you screw up and like what will happen? Yeah. But like giving people a lot of space and room, it can be chaotic, it can be like, you know, messy, but also it gets the best out of people.
Yeah, I feel like this is a place where it genuinely works because a lot of times that can be used as like a buzzword or a buzz phrase. Oh, organized chaos. But like the principles you've just highlighted, like that is precisely how a lot of things work, and it works well.
It works well until like now we're getting to 200 people. Might not work well in the future, right? So
just by the numbers.
like this has a certain point where it works and a certain point where it doesn't work. As you grow further, then you need more processes. You need more like roles and responsibilities and this kind of stuff.
I have wondered that. Even last year, you know, throughout 2024, it's like we were already like a little more established, but still hiring like constantly. Like there were people coming through like left and right. Yeah. But they were still like everyone who was coming in felt like a very strong character, like people who were very good at what they do, like responsible, mature. Yeah. And as we cross kind of the 200 people threshold, 250 people, it's like, how sustainable is that? Like it does become more difficult. I guess just growing pains in a company, but
it's growing pains. I think, you know, the organized chaos thing works only if you have very strong, independent working people and who know what they're doing. And it doesn't work if you have people who need a lot of guidance. So hiring is kind of key of that. But as you said, it's changes over time. You will have to adapt.
But on the other hand, even as we're growing, like we keep bringing people in, I'm like, how do we find so many good people? Like we have a really good team.
It's amazing.
With everybody. It's been very
I find it fascinating. Also, we have a lot of non-Czech people living in Prague, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
I think we do attract a lot of those people.
We're still, majority Czech, but a lot of non-Czech too.
Who live here.
Yes.
Right?
Like
and we have remote.
In the city.
I have a fully remote team, and like there are a lot of remote people, but it's still a small percent, I think, smaller percent of the total. And a lot of people,
like all of growth is remote. Like that I never like stopped and thought about it. But when I realized one day, I was like, that whole team is in like different countries, but it feels like very in sync, like with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. And since we're talking about different parts of the world, like I know right now we're starting to look at different places we're wanting to expand. Like what are some of our, in terms of geography, what other countries we want to go into? I know Germany's on the map.
Yeah.
But,
so we are like a very, like our main market is US and Europe, and we kind of talk English from our past. We never really thought maybe deeply about how we want to be engaging in like different countries where they don't speak English, where where there is a different.
It's a whole different strategy,
different environment, different strategy. So like one of the things that I was really excited about is like as this industry, becomes more mature, penetration of hard wallets of self custody and of generally the whole Bitcoin and crypto space will grow. As it grows, you have to always find new opportunities for growth because things we're not saturated very far from that, but that will happen one day, right? And then when things get saturated, you're trying to find new markets, new opportunities. So we thought about like, okay, we speak very English. We need to change that. We act very English. So it's the usual think global, act local stuff. So we last year we tried to think more about, okay, what is one specific country? Like we took Germany, for example, where, maybe our share is a bit underrepresented or we can improve. And there we kind of looked into how can we get that better, which is a lot about speaking German, reaching out to a German community, PR, influencers, this kind of stuff, but also finding the right messaging, finding the right story for like the German market is different than other markets. Also the people who they follow, who they listen to. So there was kind of like a trial, I would say, last year. And we wanted to this year kind of build onto that. So part of those kind of tooling you have to execute that is like, of course, language. So, we have Suite as our software layer for our devices, where we have done localization, right? We have shipped multiple languages. That also happens in firmware, which is, the language you see on your device when you click stuff. And that also happens on eShop. That's for this year plan that we have these languages also expand into our complete, website environment. And also happens on packaging, for example. When you ship a product, we have localized.
Do we have that?
We do have that.
I didn't realize that.
No, because it goes into specific markets. So you don't see that. That's exactly the thing. Like, you're trying to do really like tailor-made stuff. So these are like all basic stuff, I would say, that we're executing on. And then you can localize on like what does this specific market think about Bitcoin or crypto, or like how are they think, what are the events you want to follow, what are the key opinion leaders in this space that you want to engage and work with, but also what is the customs challenges, what are the the logistic issues, or do you need some legal setup to actually sell into those countries. So these are like all the things you have to think about. And for this year we are expanding and focusing on not only again Germany, but also Brazil, Japan, and India. So these we believe are interesting markets, but every market has a very different unlock. One is simply we need to get our website to sell, right? We need to unlock our eShop, and then it's like customs and legal stuff. Another one is, okay, we can sell there, but we don't speak the language. We don't know how they think. We don't know, we need to do some research, blah, blah, blah. So, and that's another thing. So every country has a different kind of unlock that we first have defined, and now we have to find a way to execute to that. And then a great example is, for example, Brazil. We don't talk a lot about it. Brazil, we are doing fantastic. I think we are, I don't know, maybe we're market leader or something. Trezor's doing really well. Brand's doing fantastic, but we don't even sell there directly ourselves. It's all done by,
that's
established
right. I heard
sales channel.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we have an established sales channel that's not our own channel, and it's doing extremely well. And then it makes you think like, these are, it's not just also about us. It's about, how we can unlock these channels, how we can have better, speed of delivery, logistics, all this kind of stuff. But then also like, what if we unlock that market and sell ourselves and do the full like 4P of marketing?
What's the potential
in that? What's the potential then? This is kind of like the stuff that we're thinking a lot about. So that's an exciting thing for this year that will continue to evolve. But you also have like growth, as I said, deeper into sales channels in like markets where we're already really present. So think about the US. We're now selling in Best Buy, for example, right? It's the biggest consumer electronics retailer in the world. Just their online environments, I think like 50 billion revenue a year. So it's huge. So we're also expanding into retail deeper, where we have Best Buy in the US, we have Media Market in Germany, we're unlocking Media Market in other parts of Europe as well, Saturn. We have retailers like Coolblue in Netherlands, in Poland, we're opening up retail. So we're kind of really expanding also deeper inside the countries where we're already present. Very much from a strong belief that as Bitcoin crypto adoption grows, gets bigger, people are more and more going to their own shop around the corner. Maybe they're trying to find maybe somebody in the shop to talk to, but because it's a complex topic, we want to be present there. We want to be present in these kind of key retailers in these countries. So that's another part of expansion, but it's more in, let's say, in the countries where we're already present, but having a deeper integration is how people shop. And it's also just a lot about awareness and let's say Walmart, I think they have per week something like 250 million foot traffic. That's insane to think about. And that's just a huge amount of awareness. Huge amount of awareness and visibility that you can get by just having your product well presented into a store, for example. So brick and mortar stores still have very decent function in this world as well. So we're thinking a lot about how we can improve those channels as well.
Yeah, that's something like with Germany, for example, that actually I have two different questions. Like one is like, I don't know, you don't really think about how much that actually involved. Like as a company or on paper, you go, oh yeah, it'd be good if we were in other countries. Let's go put our product in other countries. And like the amount that actually entails, like what really goes, just for the most basic things. Like you said, like our website, for example, like try translating a website into Japanese. Like you can't just use auto translate for everything.
Well, AI tools are getting better, but you can't just rely on that. You still have to have humans.
Yeah, you have to know for
sometimes
sure.
You do it in your own language and you're like reading like, oh, no, that's not how we say it. So especially in our industry, there's a lot of specific words and we're in security. So we have to be super careful we don't mess up some
and it's a new thing for every single country.
Yeah.
And is Germany, this is the other thing I was curious about. So like, we are physically right next to Germany. Czech Republic borders Germany.
Yeah.
So is that like an easier version of localization than other countries, or is it just as hard? Like, would it be different from Japan or India?
Well, it's different because we're already very present in Germany. We have a very established kind of
with influencers
market
from Germany.
Position.
There's like connections that we have there, like stuff
like that.
Well,
we onboarded new ones, right? But we're not targeting Germany from the influence. We had, some influencers who are German, but they don't really maybe address the German market at the time. Now we have more of those. But yeah, it's like I would say like it's not easier. It's actually complex because you have to go way deeper into the mindset of the customer there, the German customer. And German customer is very different than a Dutch customer or French customer. Europe is crazy in that way, right? American customers are in that sense way easier to
just American. That's it. Yeah, you don't have to no further than that. That's it.
Yeah, and like so to your question, no, it's not easier. It's not easier just because we're close. I would say, but definitely, I would say it's easier to maybe figure out long term where the pain points are because we can engage and discuss and easier, and we can do better easier market research. But yes, in Japan it's like very far out of what we think it is. That you need also there like some local knowledge and really find people you can talk to who actually understand the market deeply and well.
Even things like it might seem silly at first, but even something like a time zone difference
that's
like have an actual impact on like making things work.
Yeah, it does.
It's like there's so many factors to consider with stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for that. Another thing I wanted to ask you about was altcoins in general. This is a little bit of a shift, but I know that since I've been here, I've seen like a few altcoins come on or things that we've done with them. Like last year we did Ethereum staking, and then it didn't even occur to me like at some point there wasn't Ethereum support, right? A long time ago. Like, did we just start full Bitcoin and then?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Like when I joined, we already had quite a expanded altcoin support. But we definitely we have a Bitcoin DNA, Bitcoin heritage, and founded by Bitcoiners, and we have a lot of Bitcoiners in the company. So.
That was something I wasn't aware of when I started.
Yeah,
it's I didn't think about that.
But it's just go back to Stick and Slush and what they did for Bitcoin. It's fantastic, right? And like the BIP 39 and the pooling, the mining, and all of these concepts that were created, the first hardware wallet. It was all for Bitcoin, right? But as the market kind of grows and expands, there's a lot of new people coming into the market, and they do a lot of other stuff as well. So we basically we I think shipped Solana 2020 end of 2023. There was like a new
I remember people
big
talking
network.
about that when I came in.
Yeah, it was a biggie because like at the time, it was already gaining a lot in popularity when we shipped that.
Yeah.
So and that is, it just shows like so basically a lot of people, especially in a bull market, they are like all into the altcoins, right? That's kind of a big thing. I think a lot of people, including me, starts also in that way where you're trying to understand all these altcoins. There's a lot of financialization happening. So all these people, they the best we can do is give them also secure, safe custody for their coins, and that's why we want to kind of add these networks that where most of the people are. So Solana was added. We added Ethereum staking. We added Polygon. We added Binance Smart Chain. We're probably when this comes out, we've added Base and Arbitrum and Optimism, which are more like EVM style networks. And so we have been expanding the network support. That is just simply a huge demand of our users, of our customers that we are working with. And at the same time, we have also fantastic Bitcoin support, and we're always continuing there. And we have a whole CSR program as well to educate around Bitcoin. So we're trying to do a bit of everything. And if you ask me, like, okay, how do you make a decision which network or what you do? So it's quite basic. It's not very complex because, as I said, what we want to do is we want to make give secure self-custody to as many users as possible. So we mostly look at like what are the metrics of users, like active users, active addresses, and we think about, okay, which network can we add that reaches to most people who then can enjoy a Trezor self-custody solution. That's roughly it. There are complications from like firmware and resources, and it does take a lot of work to get done. So we are not in that sense, like some other, I would say, companies where, the next hot coin next week, we're trying to add it. That's simply not possible. Also, like from a resource angle, it's a lot of work because every network is.
That's another thing I think
different.
People probably don't think about as much.
Yeah, they don't think about it. It sounds very easy, but you really have to, you want to do it secure and in the best way. So it needs a lot of auditing, it needs a lot of reviews. So basically, from the angle, we're trying to do the ones that have the biggest kind of reach from a user perspectives, and at the same time, like, we have certain limitations as well. And with those limitations, then we have to make hard decisions. And it's not like, okay, let's try to get everybody's network on there. That's simply not possible in the current kind of setup we have. We are working in the future, like, how can we improve that? How can we have a more flexible, setup in technology-wise, where we can do that easier with less resources, with less effort, basically. But that's kind of roughly it. Like, we have been adding new networks. There's a lot of user demand, especially in these kind of moments now, and we're trying to balance it out
as things start picking up.
And we're trying to balance it out with a lot of other critical stuff we have to do, shipping new products. As I said, there's a lot of efforts across the company to do as well. So we're always balancing out users' needs, resources, kind of product requirements we have when we launch something.
Yeah, I didn't really consider just how much of a squeeze like it can feel. Like when things start picking up in the bull run, it's like suddenly there's a lot of demand coming from a lot of different angles.
Yeah.
Like there's so much to take care of and think about, and you can only spread your resources like so far for anything.
Yeah, and I think in the end, like if you can support some of these networks, so people of course want that, but you also can have more services and solutions inside Suite that makes it way more engaging for users to do stuff more with their Trezor, and like make it more interesting for them, for example, to get away from exchanges, and take the self-custody path, and that's kind of what we're all about as well.
Yeah. Another thing, like when I came into the company, was I didn't consider the fact that, like, first of all, it's like we're pretty lighthearted, but we have people who are like Bitcoin maxis, and then people who are like more into altcoins.
Yeah.
And so people kind of make jokes, and it's never serious, but that, like, it is like from a place of like their actual beliefs.
Yeah.
And we have that in the community too. So it's like, it's almost like this thing where someone's going to get upset with whatever decision we make.
But
like,
everybody always gets upset in this industry everywhere. So that's like normal. But I think, like, we have a very fantastic, healthy kind of way in the company where you can have multiple groups, living together under one house, and when you see each other face to face, it's all good. Like on the internet, it's very easy to shout at each other, right? But like
the keyboard warrior,
we're all happy. We're
yeah.
all enjoying a beer together after work. So no, it's really, I think it's valuable to have all these different kind of perspectives. I think it makes us very well faceted and really understand, all the different parts of the community and the users as well. So I'm very proud of having all these different kind of groups.
Yeah. Well, personally, I was surprised that we were even, just from a practical perspective, able to accommodate both parties in this case. Like we have a BTC only or Bitcoin only product.
Exactly.
Which like that's a lot of effort to do something like that, but it's like something that we have as an option.
We have. Because there are people exactly who simply want like only that experience, and then we want to offer that experience, and that's a very important part
is
of
the
our
purpose
user base.
is that security related for
so
BTC
like there's
only?
Always like attack service kind of stuff. It's very I would say very small, but the point is you can also already add Bitcoin only version to any wallet, so you can do that. So there's definitely like a marketing part around it, but also really because a lot of these users they really want this kind of simple Bitcoin experience, and they don't want to be bothered with anything else. So it's really also making their journey as easy as possible, and we are continuously investing also there to see how we can make that experience even better and add more Bitcoin functionality into Suite and into firmware and into our devices. So.
Yeah. To your point, like anytime one new coin needs to come out, it's like the entire infrastructure needs to be built like for that thing. And that was something that I never saw until I got in here. Or maybe it's better to say I just didn't think about it. Like it's so easy. You could even say broader picture, like we talked about building the business side of things, the business department, the marketing side of everything. It's like when you're a user or when you're a part of the community, which is what I was for so many years before joining this, it's like it's so simple and so easy for that to kind of like fall into your brain. It's like an expectation.
Yeah.
You go, okay, yeah, that's their cool brand. That looks that's sweet. That's a nice look from you guys. You don't realize 2 years like building a department like that to make this kind of thing happen.
Yeah.
Like how much that actually goes into everything from that point all the way down to like adding a coin and like a thing. Because now I see like the chats of like people in like our company like talking about like, hey, how do we go about these things? Like, what is the best approach? And just how much thought there is from entire teams, like for let's for this one coin that we put in.
Yeah. And I think in the past it's always been like you have to, I think, also have a very very clean and simple way of approaching which one to add, and that's why I really like the metric of like active users more than anything else. There are of course other stuff that matter, a lot of stuff as well. But in the end, you can have very loud, local communities as well. But it doesn't always represent everybody, right? And that's what we have to care about. So like it is
to navigate along.
Yeah, and then it
opinions.
takes time to implement it and to ship it, and the market can be completely different. Let's say half a year later, right? So there's always like some risk, but at the same time, that's what we have to deal with.
So what are the next, like, I mean, we've got 2025 straight ahead. We're in it. It's like we're right in front of us.
It's only January,
So we've got basically, I would say we're expecting things to get pretty hectic throughout this year. What is the plan for this and maybe the year after, like the next 1 to 2 years, both bull run and then maybe heading back into a bear market at some point?
Yeah. You have to prepare for that as well.
Yeah. That's exactly what we've already talked about it. So now we have to acknowledge where we're going.
Maybe there will never be a bear market. Who knows?
But you can't know for sure.
You can't know for sure.
We have to be prepared.
We have to prepare
That's
for
the
it.
thing.
That's exactly the thing. So this year is going to be a super exciting year. 2025 is the year. We all believe this is the year. If it doesn't happen, we're going to be fine as well. But we believe this is the year. And we have to ride the bull market. That's really like one of the main milestones is just everything we have built, what I've been talking about the last 2 years, and it's across the whole company. It's across product. We've shipped 2 new products, Safe 3, Safe 5. We have shipped, accessories like Keep Metal. We've built a great machinery around the e-commerce platform. There's a lot of work done on the software suites and also adding new services there. So all this stuff is all about now getting that to the people. So facing this huge demand is super challenging for when you sell a physical product. Like when you're a protocol or when you're like some SaaS company in this space.
That's true.
Like,
we live in a huge digital world
Yeah,
today.
it's easy. It's digital. Everything is hard. They say hardware is hard. It is truly true. Being in this space for my whole life, hardware is extremely hard. So that means like all this preparation in the past from supply chain, production, components, all this stuff together with getting the whole selling machinery ready, and building all these devices, building all these solutions. It's all about getting them out, and that is a big task, and that's what we need to navigate and deliver this year. But we saw this already last few months. Q4 2024, everything exploded. We saw sales spiking, big multiples.
Nice surprise.
Nice surprise, but it also only just shows maybe what start of what can be. And it's a lot about mindset. I think we talked about it in the past, like you have to
like on our call, like you
on our call, you and me
talked
we
about
sometimes talk together, right?
Like,
only rarely, but sometimes. And then it's like, how do you change your brain thinking that, okay, like already a lot of people are like, wow, this is crazy. Well, it can be way crazier than this. This is kind of what you have to tell people. And I think this kind of cyclicality messes with the brain a lot. And specifically people who are coming new into the company, which are a lot, they don't maybe notice. So it's a lot about mental coaching maybe this year. It's like, guys, this is like going to happen and it can be multiples bigger, and please be ready, like also mentally to understand that maybe you're shipping $10 is going to be $100, or what does it mean for sales support, right? Or what does it mean for the load on our eShop? So all these things, that's what we have to go through to manage the cycle. But we saw in Q4 already it exploded, and we handled it perfectly. I'm super proud of the teams. Everything went smooth.
The outcome was really solid.
Nothing broke.
That can happen. Like it does happen.
But just think about sales support guys, and they're like flooded. Absolutely flooded, right? And it's logistics support and these kind of things. All these kind of parts of the company have to be ready.
Well, that's I think one of the best examples, or one that I just noticed, I guess, was Trezor Expert. We introduced, for anyone who doesn't know, who's listening, Trezor Expert, it's like a service you can purchase with the wallet, and they'll help guide you through setting up your wallet for the first time if you're not super comfortable with it. So we hired a whole team of people to prep them for this. We trained them on it. Like a lot of people already had crypto backgrounds and launched it. It was launched same time as TS5. So it all came out together, but it was like in the bear market still, with the intent of going into this bull run that we've seen start now. So for a few months there, it was like maybe from like July to like September, they were like a little bit below capacity. And so I would hear like concern from some of the voices being like, well, like we haven't used all of our experts all the time, around the clock. And I was like, be careful what you wish for. This can get very crazy very fast.
And it did.
And it did. They pretty much are, they've been
still
booked out.
They're still working for the, to get the last ones done. So
Yeah. And that's a story that you see in many rhyming fashions, like across the entire, I'm sure it's definitely not just our company. Like everyone in the industry is like kind of feeling these fluctuations.
Everybody feels the fluctuations, but it's extremely hard to scale hardware. And that we have this physical product again, but also Expert is physical, right? Because we have actual people. So it also is hard to scale. So all these things are tough to do. And that's what we have to deal with. And that is kind of uniquely of us being inside this industry. And that's why it's a really big feat for like 10 years, having to be able to deal with this and taking the learnings of every cycle and now really trying to be ready to capture the opportunity out there.
Is there anything, just if we zoom out a little bit, I know where it's our main concern is this year and everything that's coming. That's kind of what we've got right in front of us. But if we were to say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is there any like one thing or any big ambition that you have just overall?
A lot of big things, but also just for this year, right? We have other milestones for this and next year. So we also have a new device that we're working on that's super critical. We want to offer new solutions to the users that are asked for by users and the market needs. And then like generally, like I think us as a company, we have some big topics to solve. Like self-custody is one of them, right? How do we make it easier?
I would say just that.
Just that
is like all we need.
Probably most important and biggest topic we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we have to solve.
It's not easy.
And like self-custody is a broad concept. So let's say 2% are in hardware wallets of the market, right? That stat, I think, has been said a few times, but maybe self-custody is 8% to 10%. And like 90% is exchanges and stuff and financial apps.
Right. So self-custody
like
versus
just,
hardware.
Yeah. So it's not just hardware, but also self-custody.
Yes.
Like there are like different steps in the market, and like how can we like. I think you can ask yourself the question like how will self-custody become more mainstream or will it be more niche? And it's not an easy one to answer. I think everybody says we're all gonna self-custody is probably not. That's probably not reality. But saying self-custody is going away is also probably not real. It's like it's gonna be very interesting to follow and track. But I think it's the biggest challenge we have, and it's so super valuable. I think self-custody is like the thing that makes this whole industry and Bitcoin special. That kind of gift of like being truly owning your own coins, being able to, in a fully private and like in a way that it is uncensorable. It cannot be taken away from you. That's the value thing. Like think about gold. You have this piece of gold. You put it, under your bed. Well, this is like a million times more portable, more divisive, easier to work with for everybody. That's fantastic, but that's so important because without that, we're just replicating the old system. If we take it away, everything goes back to the banks. They're gonna, they'll hold your keys. They will make sure if you get access or not or whatever. Yeah. So it's just super critical that stays. And I think we're seeing some really good traction. Also, a regulatory front. Also, we see a new administration coming in the US. Who also, in some smaller letter somewhere in one of the EOs said, okay, self-custody and deploying of software that is private, right to have for a person. That's super important. And I think that's something we have to work on. Is how do we make it easier? Because just self-custody is already one thing, and then you have hardware wallets. Well, self-custody is very strong, very much doing really well. We see that in this cycle, actually in this bull market, a lot of people flock into, let's say, software wallets. And you saw last few months, you saw a huge kind of, you have the meme coins and all this kind of stuff popping all over the place. You can argue if it's good or bad. There are a lot of bad stuff about meme coins as well. Can talk for an hour about that. Yeah. But what it does do, at least we see that in the numbers, a lot of new people are coming into the space. And they are, spinning up a software wallet, or they're, like through one of those apps, and that is actually net good maybe for the industry long term. The risk is that these people will leave again, or they will go to an exchange, or they somehow, they don't like what they bought, and this is all possible. But every cycle, you get more new people getting to use self-custody tools, and the easier we make it, and the easier we also get these people to a hardware wallet. That's all about UX, UI, fixing these like really hardcore issues about, backup, making it simpler, and these kind of ways of how you use, self-custody, and that's our kind of, I would say, biggest challenge that we're always talking about, and there's a lot of R&D in the background happening to figure that out, to improve that, and that will, I think, remain quite critical, specifically because self-custody is so important, and we have to do our part to the industry to make sure that stays like that, and we make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, it can be really easy, I think, when you're working this job 40 hours a week to get really wrapped up and it's like super familiar with everything, and like it starts feeling like very obvious and then commonplace to you. And then you go, like I flew back to America, like was surrounded by all my friends and family, like nobody's into crypto, or it's like that joke that they've heard about like on the internet. It's like people are at least aware of it, but like self-custody, like hardware wallets, like that's just another
and
level.
They don't even think about that concept. And self-custody is a word nobody understands. It's not in this space. We have to find a better word for that, or working on a better word. But like it's a great example of like people, they just download some wallet and they just like buy something on that wallet. They don't know if it's self-custody or if it's an exchange or whatever. They just use the experience, and if it's easy enough, they will do it. That's kind of the core of the thing. And like we still live in a Web 2 world, right? So where you have all these exchanges, they are, because they don't have to do the backup of the keys, they don't have to worry about some of these product issues. It's very easy for them to make a very smooth, KYC is quite hard. That's kind of frustrating. But the rest is quite smooth and quite easy. And that's what we have to somehow compete with as well. And that's our challenge. to deal with. And especially, as you said, users don't understand what they're using. They just want to use something easy, simple. That's where we kind of need to get to.
Yeah, that's, I think, why people talk about kind of that breakthrough moment when you're learning about Bitcoin, why it's important, why it matters.
Yeah.
One of the things I heard recently that kind of stuck out was like, if you're not aware of a problem, like with our current monetary system, for example,
Yep.
it's like, well, why would you be concerned with it at all?
Oh, yeah.
If it's not, if the awareness isn't there in the first place, that's a hard one. At least me personally, like I have a difficult time approaching that because to me it feels condescending. It's like, I know this thing and you don't know this thing. Like,
Yeah,
it's hard to walk into that one.
It is very hard, and it's a difficult topic because people, they have their daily worries, right? They just want to.
People are just living their lives.
Living their life, and they need to get food on the table and all this kind of stuff. And that is then they're shouting children want something. All this stuff it's hard to also nowadays to have mental time and space to think about these topics. But I do think it became more abundantly clear that there is a monetary issue, and I think. Post-COVID, inflation has been rampant. I think it captured more.
It's been especially dramatic.
It
the
has
past
been
2 years.
Captured more headlines than ever before. I think people are really understanding better.
Like, there's a problem here.
Where they save in, what they hold, what they work their lives for to give security to their, to the children. That it's not so solid or safe or secure in the sense that it inflates away, and they're starting to learn more and more about it. I think also through normal media. As this was some crazy period we went through. So I do think there's more awareness, but it is still a challenging topic. And I think that is, also the story of Bitcoin is once you get into Bitcoin, you start learning more about all this kind of money. How does money work? And opens up some eyes. And
I don't think I ever would have learned without it. I've learned more about traditional finance just because of Bitcoin.
It gives you that rabbit hole, which is super nice.
I can't even say how many times I've heard someone be like, well, like inflation's a problem, but like this is the best thing we've got.
Yeah.
Like that's that thing. And then I go, well,
because everything grows with inflation.
Yeah. So now it's just cool. I don't know. It's interesting that there's kind of this thing now to kind of challenge that idea and that mentality. And it's just been...
It's like optionality, and that's super important, and people need to have access to that optionality. They need to be able to secure it themselves and custody it so that they can do with it what they want.
Well, yeah, that, like you said, that will blow it up into another hour of conversation. That was all I had for you today. Maybe we'll get you on episode 2, and we'll just do an hour on meme coins and self-custody.
Yeah, let's go.
Nothing else. Yeah, we always end these with an awkward handshake. That's our tradition here. So you have to reach around the mic just to get over here. Yeah, because it's there. You go. That was good. That was a good way.
It's also let go too early.
I like how you added
awkward
to that a little bit.
Should I let go?
Just make it a little more awkward.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, thanks for coming down, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Sean.
And we will see you guys around.